Gabe, let's talk about the significance of this vote in the House today on this budget measure, especially as we mentioned it in context of tax reform.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Basically, the reason that this is important is that it now frees up Capitol Hill to take on tax reform. It's now the issue that's front and center. As with so many other things now, this basically comes down to how the president and how members of the Republican Party can get together. By passing this budget bill over the last few days in the Senate and the House, basically this allows them to go into reconciliation, which is a long way of saying that they can try and pass tax reform with just 50 votes. Now, the hard part is actually getting those votes across the board, and that's what they're going to be focused on trying to do now.
Well, Gabe, as you know, the president, right before the House voted, took to Twitter writing, quote, "Do not underestimate the unity within the Republican Party." The president seems to think he can obviously get some of his Republican critics on board with the tax plan. Will he be able to?
Well, that's the big question, and right now we really have no idea because there is no tax plan yet. There is no bill. The broad principles have been shared, but we don't actually know what they're going to be voting on. But the reason that he said that is not just about tax reform. Of course, he's referring to reports about serious disunity in the Republican Party, particularly in the last few days, where Bob Corker, the retiring senator from Tennessee, has basically been going after him harder and harder, and now Jeff Flake, the senator from Arizona, another Republican, has A, said he's going to retire, and B, gave a scathing speech against Trump in a way that really sort of opened a lot of Americans' eyes to the fact that Republicans are not aligned behind him.
So let's talk a little bit about what happens after the House vote. What are you going to be watching for specifically once we actually see this tax legislation?
Well, the big question is how exactly the White House is going to be selling this. I mean, in terms of the specifics, well, that's the big question. We don't know what the specifics are. We don't know where these policy proposals are going to be coming from. Obviously, their leadership in the House and the Senate are both going to be trying to craft a bill with as many specifics as possible, as quickly as possible, because they want to get this done soon. What they really want to do is try and get specifics that will adhere to the broad principles that all Republicans will agree to. But what do they have to fight? Well, someone like Corker has said he doesn't want to vote for anything that increases the deficit, and at the same time, Trump has gone around saying that he doesn't want to do anything that touches people's 401ks, which is obviously very politically unpopular. So there are a lot of different pressures here, and they're all going to play out in the next few days.
Meanwhile, Gabe, as you know, at 2 p.m. Eastern, the president will be making an announcement on the opioid crisis. This is something he's promised to make a priority of his administration. What are we expecting to hear?
Well, he's going to declare it a public health emergency, which is actually narrower in scope than what a lot of other people wanted. They wanted a broader national emergency declaration, including the people on his opioid commission had been asking for that. A lot of folks in the actual states that are extremely affected by this have been very disappointed by how slowly the White House has moved on this. Obviously, he's been president for nearly 11 months now, and only now they're getting around to issuing final a declaration about it. But what this will do is free up some more money for the White House, from the White House to local governments to try and combat this huge opioid problem that's really ravaging parts of the country.
Politico's Gabe Debenedetti. Thanks a lot, Gabe.
Thank you.